Have you ever felt watched? Not by a person, but by something invisible. A system analyzing you without blinking, without emotion. Today, we're not talking about science fiction. We're talking about a reality already operating in the shadows of our lives. Decisions about your future, your credit, your freedom are being made right now by silent judges. They don't wear robes or sit in courtrooms. They are lines of code, cold and efficient algorithms running on servers thousands of miles away. And the most terrifying part? They have already passed sentence on you without you even knowing you were on trial. The question is no longer if machines will judge us. The question is that they already do. And we handed them the gavel without asking who built the courthouse. Picture this. A man, let's call him Eric, is awaiting his sentence. He's not in a dark-paneled courtroom, but in a cold room staring at a piece of paper. The paper says he is high risk to re-offend. This classification didn't come from a human judge, from a jury who heard his story. It came from an algorithm called Compass. Because of this digital label, his chance at parole evaporates. Years of his life are decided by a statistical probability. Stories like Eric's are not exceptions. They are becoming the rule. People lose job opportunities, are denied credit, or are placed under intense surveillance because of a score. It's the new digital sentence, an indelible stigma based on past data that closes the doors to the future before you can even knock. Where does this injustice come from? It's not born from silicon, but from the sludge of our own biases. An algorithm is like a child. It learns from what it's shown. And what have we been showing them? Decades, centuries of historical data filled with social inequality, systemic racism, and gender discrimination. When you feed an AI with arrest data from a police system that has historically over-policed certain communities, the machine doesn't learn to detect crime. It learns to detect the historical targets of the police. The code becomes a mirror of our worst demons, but with a dangerous veneer of mathematical neutrality. It launders discrimination in the language of objectivity, turning prejudice into probability. The result is a terrifyingly efficient form of segregation, now automated and scaled to a global level. Let's open the black box. Compass, or the Correctional Offender Management Profiling for Alternative Sanctions, was meant to be objective. It uses 137 questions to calculate a risk score. Questions like, was one of your parents ever sent to jail? But objectivity is an illusion. A 2016 investigation revealed that the algorithm was twice as likely to falsely flag black defendants as future criminals compared to white defendants. White people who later committed new crimes were more often mislabeled as low risk. The system wasn't predicting crime, it was reproducing a pattern of racial bias. The company defended its software, claiming it was accurate in other ways. But the damage was done. Compass showed the world that an algorithm can be mathematically sound and socially destructive at the same time. The fundamental problem isn't just the algorithm's logic, but its diet, the data. Imagine a training dataset for a justice system. It's composed of police records, court decisions, and demographic data. If this data comes from a society where certain neighborhoods are over-policed and certain groups are arrested more frequently for minor offenses, the AI learns a dangerous lesson. It will associate zip codes, ethnicity, and socioeconomic status with criminal risk. Timnit Gebru showed how facial recognition systems failed dramatically on dark-skinned women because the training data was overwhelmingly white and male. The same principle applies here. We are literally training machines to perpetuate injustice, encoding the past to perpetually haunt the future. You don't need a malevolent supercomputer to create a tool of oppression. Sometimes all it takes is a few lines of Python. A data analyst using a library like Pandas can load a spreadsheet with thousands of records. With a simple command, they can group people by zip code, credit history, or education level. Another command trains a regression model to find correlations. The code itself is neutral. It looks harmless. But if zip code is a proxy for race, and risk is defined by flawed historical data, that line of code becomes a weapon. It can determine who gets a loan, who qualifies for health insurance, or who is flagged for surveillance. The machine's cold logic, devoid of context and empathy, turns human complexity into a simple equation, and the result can be mass exclusion. What if the police could stop a crime before it happened? It sounds like a security ideal. But in practice, predictive policing has become something far more sinister. Systems like Predictive use historical crime data to generate hotspots, areas where a crime is more likely to occur. The result? Patrol cars canvass the same neighborhoods relentlessly, usually the poorest and most diverse. This creates a vicious feedback loop. More police lead to more arrests for minor offenses, which generate more data for the algorithm, which then marks the area as even more dangerous. Entire communities live under a permanent state of suspicion, treated not as citizens to be protected, but as potential future criminals. It's the materialization of a prison without walls, built from data and patrolled by algorithms. When a human judge makes a mistake, they can be questioned. Their logic can be scrutinized. But what about when the judge is a black box algorithm? Many of these systems, especially those based on deep learning, are so complex that not even their creators can fully explain why a specific decision was made. If you're denied a job by an AI, who do you appeal to? The company claims it's a trade secret. The programmer points to the machine. The machine remains silent. This opacity destroys accountability. We're creating systems of power with no face, no center, and no one to answer for the harm they cause. It's the perfect ghost witness. It sees everything, decides everything, but can never be called to the stand. And in a just society, a decision that cannot be explained should not be allowed. In the heart of the tech empire, some voices refuse to be silenced. Timnit Gebru is one of them. As co-lead of Google's ethical AI team, she was in a prime position to see the flaws from the inside. In 2020, she co-authored a paper warning of the dangers of large language models, including their biases and environmental costs. Google's response was not dialogue, but dismissal. Gebru's case became a symbol. It exposed the reluctance of major corporations to confront the ethical consequences of their most profitable creations. But it also galvanized a community, researchers, activists, and engineers who, like Gebru, believe that technology should serve us, not sort us. They fight for transparency, for audits, and for the fundamental right to question the code. The greatest danger may not be the rise of the machines, but our own abdication. We are becoming so reliant on algorithmic efficiency that we are forgetting the value of human judgment. An algorithm doesn't understand context. It doesn't comprehend regret. It doesn't know what a second chance is. It sees data, not people. By delegating decisions about justice, compassion, and morality to systems that are fundamentally incapable of understanding these concepts, we are hollowing out our own humanity. We are trading wisdom for speed, empathy for efficiency. Cesar Hidalgo noted that we judge machines by their outcomes, but humans by their intentions. By removing intention from the justice equation, what is left? Only a cold calculation, a tyranny of efficiency that leaves no room for grace. But the darkness is not absolute. There are those who build lighthouses. Raman Chowdhury is a pioneer in the field of applied algorithmic ethics. She doesn't just criticize, she builds. Her work focuses on creating solutions for ethical, explainable, and transparent AI. Chowdhury and others like her are developing the idea of algorithmic auditing. Just as an accountant audits a company's finances, These new experts audit code to find biases and negative social impacts. They create AI red teams that actively try to break systems to expose flaws before they cause harm in the real world. It's a difficult job, often seen as a roadblock to innovation, but it is the front line of defense, the attempt to insert a conscience, a soul, into the machine before it spins completely out of control. In the end, the question that remains is this: what is artificial intelligence? Is it just a mirror, reflecting with brutal clarity the inequalities and prejudices that have always been in our society? Or has it become something more? A hammer we are using to solidify these flaws and turn them into a permanent and inescapable architecture of control. Alan Turing gave us the machine that can answer questions. Decades later, voices like Timnit Gebru and Raman Chowdhury give us the warning about the answers we're getting. The choice is not the machine's, it's ours. Will we continue to feed the code with the ghosts of our past? Or will we have the courage to rewrite the script and demand a justice that is not just programmed, but profoundly human? The decision is yours.